Many years ago, I went onto the campus of one of the universities in Seattle, and I had been asked to bless the dorm rooms of Orthodox students on that campus. And I went into one of the rooms, I think it was on the third floor, and the young Orthodox man was standing by his desk, and I walked in, and the first thought I had was, I don't see any icons. So I asked him, where are your icons? And he said, well, I don't really want to foist my faith on my roommate. And I looked over at his roommate's desk and I said, why? Your roommate is foisting his religion on you. He's got that big giant poster of Madonna on the wall. And then he said, well, I do have this icon of the Holy Virgin. And he had a little tiny icon like this. And I said, is that usually out, or did you take it out of your drawer when you knew I was coming? And he kind of hesitated. And I said, I take that as a yes. And then I said, you know, it's been my experience when I've lectured on campuses in the Seattle area that a lot of young people who see themselves as atheists or agnostics change their minds when they hear about Orthodoxy, because most of them who were maybe raised in the evangelical church or Catholic church, they've never heard of Orthodoxy, or if they've heard about it, they see Orthodoxy as this sort of a Catholicism on steroids, but that's all they know. And so there is sort of a cultural thing. Well, if you're Russian, then you belong to the Russian Orthodox Church. That was my concept of Orthodoxy when I was a young man in college. In fact, the first time that I entered an Orthodox church, I was still identifying myself as sort of a New Age agnostic. And I had long abandoned my evangelical Lutheran roots. So I walked in and I beheld the beauty of this Orthodox service, but my first thought was, oh, this is too bad that I'm not a Russian, because otherwise I could have this as my faith, but these are all Russians and the church service is in Slavonic. So when I left, I felt both joy at having experienced this service, but a sadness that it couldn't be mine because I wasn't ethnically Russian. And that went on for many, many years. It was years and years before I actually went into another Orthodox church. It was way after graduate school. But the one thing I have experienced on campuses is if you share the differences between our Orthodox faith and other forms of Christianity, you really see kind of a light bulb go on in the faces of young people. I have a friend who's now a retired archbishop who was a quantum physicist at one time, and he told me that he believed that the atheism that is adrift throughout the Western world is based on a lack of understanding of what real Christianity is. And he said, in fact, he even pointed out that he thought that it was the end result of Calvinism. Because if you look at Calvin's image of who God is, it's really rather negative. God is, he's created hell, and if you're not good and you don't believe in him and have not accepted Christ as your Savior, you're going to go to hell. Whereas the Orthodox view is the river of fire is both, for the believer, it is the fire of illumination, and for the unbeliever, the one who has failed to love God and neighbor, it is a hellfire, burning fire. So when people get that, and they hear that, it's sort of like, wow, I didn't know that about Christianity. I didn't know about this ancient form of Christianity. So going back to our role as Christians, I think that we live in an age of unbelief. And part of this unbelief of this age is a denial of the existence of God. And so we are allowing the new religion to take over, which is the religion of the state, much like what happened in the Soviet Union. I think this is happening here in the United States, that we have a new religion. It's a secular religion. And it's all based on many things, division between people and racism, and whether maybe white people are guilty of racism because they're born white, things like that. But in the church, Orthodoxy has never been a white man's religion. Because our nation, our true nation as Orthodox Christians, is not Russian or Serbian or Bulgarian or American. Our true nation is Orthodoxy. And so, because we have, as Orthodox Christians, embraced this faith and made it our own, it's really important that we share the faith. Well, some people say, well, but I'm afraid I'll lose my friends. Well, maybe you'll gain one of your friends for the faith by sharing your faith. Because what are you ultimately doing? Do you really care about them as a friend if you don't share the beauty and truth of Orthodoxy? I remember once there was a little boy whose mother told me that he didn't want to go to church because he didn't have any friends in church. So I sat the boy down and I said, have you ever invited any of your friends from school to come and experience Orthodoxy? And he said, well, no, I haven't. And I said, why don't you? I said, next Sunday, why don't you bring a friend to church? Oh, never thought of that. And I think that that's the case with a lot of us, that we don't think about that we need to think about, if we really care about our friends, we want to share with our friends that which is transforming us and giving us peace of heart that everybody thinks they want, but they don't know where it is at. We know where it is at. And we need to share the faith, even to the point of maybe being willing to lose our job or our social status. If the early Christians were people who faced martyrdom with joy, then why are we not willing to even face the possibility of being ostracized by people who think we're a kook for being religious? One of the ways that we can share the faith on a daily basis is just by having our baptismal cross exposed so people can see it. Right now it seems that the only crosses around people's necks are the wrappers, and it doesn't mean anything to them. But a simple Orthodox cross, your baptismal cross around your neck, bespeaks a multitude to people. So I think our challenge as Christians is to live our faith as the early disciples did. When we look at the 1st and 2nd century, the age of persecution, we don't see people who were afraid of sharing their faith. They even dressed differently than their pagan neighbors. So this is really our challenge, is to, even the way we dress, to dress as Christians, not by following the fashion of the day, but following the Christian faith and how we even present ourselves before the Lord when we enter our temples. This is what Orthodoxy is about, sharing the faith And the more we share our faith with joy, the more our faith permeates our being. And then we have a permanent, deepening relationship with the Lord of mercy. And then we realize the truth that when we enter into the divine liturgy, we enter into a place where there's neither time nor space. And we enter into the heavenly realm. As I told one Baptist friend of mine years ago, I said, "You're all waiting for the great by and by." But when we Orthodox enter into the divine liturgy, we are participants in the heavenly banquet in the here and now. And all those who have gone on before us and won the battle and are surrounding the throne of God in heaven are with us, mystically with us, and we are with them. So this is really, how can we not want to share that with the people that we love? How can we not want to do that?